Let me ask you something uncomfortable. Have you ever felt like your brain just works against you? Like no matter what you do, and the anxiety comes back, the energy crashes, the sleep never feels like enough? You probably blamed your habits, your childhood, maybe your diet. But what if I told you that one of the biggest factors was decided in the first 90 days of your life by something completely out of your control? Not your parents or your genes, the calendar, the month you were born, physically changed how your brain works. And depending on when you were born, your body may have been running on a lower dose of serotonin, the chemical that decides whether you feel calm, happy, or like everything is quietly falling apart. Since the day you took your first breath, that's not a theory or astrology. That's a finding published in Nature Neuroscience. When Columbia University analyzed the medical records of 1.7 million people, they found that your birth month is statistically linked to 55 different diseases, from heart conditions to asthma to ADHD. The patterns weren't random, and they matched across decades of data. In this video, you'll find out why your birth month quietly decided how much serotonin your brain would produce, and why some people have been fighting an invisible disadvantage their entire lives without knowing it. What happens to a newborn's immune system in the first 8 weeks? And why the season you were born into may still be affecting your health right now, decades later. Why professional athletes across Europe, the US and Canada are almost never born in certain months. And it has absolutely nothing to do with talent. And what scientists discovered when they studied 1,500 people who lived past 100, and the 2 birth months that kept showing up over and over again. So let's start with the most uncomfortable question first. Here's something your doctor probably never mentioned. When you were in the womb during your mother's last 3 months of pregnancy, the amount of sunlight she got directly affected how your brain built its mood system, the network that controls whether you feel happy, anxious, sleepy, or stressed. Here's the chain. Her body absorbed sunlight. That sunlight helped her produce vitamin D. And that vitamin D crossed into you and helped wire the mood circuits in your developing brain. If those last 3 months fell in summer, lots of light, lots of vitamin D, your brain got a strong foundation. If they fell in the dead of winter, short days, weak sun, barely any vitamin D, your brain built itself on less. Think of it like tuning a radio. The station was chosen by the amount of sunlight available when your brain was being assembled. A major study from Vanderbilt University confirmed this directly. They raised mice under different light conditions, some in long summer-like days, others in short winter-like days. The winter-light mice showed clear changes in brain function, more anxiety, lower mood, slower recovery from stress. And here's the unsettling part. Even when those mice were later moved into bright, long-day lighting, their brains didn't fully reset. The early imprint stayed. In simple terms, the light conditions of your earliest days leave a permanent mark on your brain chemistry. This doesn't mean you're broken if you were born in winter. It means your mood system was tuned to a different default, and that default has been quietly running in the background your entire life. The next surprise is about your immune system, and this one is even harder to believe. Your immune system was also shaped by something you had no control over, the season you entered the world. When you were born, your immune system was brand new, completely untrained. It had never seen a virus, never fought a bacteria, never encountered anything harmful. And whatever hit it first, in those first weeks and months, created the blueprint for how it would defend you for the rest of your life. Now think about what that means, depending on your birth month. If you were born in October or November, you arrived right at the start of cold and flu season. Your untrained immune system got hit by respiratory viruses before it had any real defenses, and research shows that this kind of early exposure can create a long-term weakness. That first battle shapes how your lungs and airways handle infections for decades. That Columbia University study found that babies born in fall had significantly higher rates of breathing-related illness throughout their entire lives, not just in childhood. In their 40s, 50s, 60s, the pattern held. Meanwhile, if you were born in May or June, you got a completely different start. Fewer viruses around, warm weather, more sunlight for both you and your mother. Your immune system had time to develop in a calm environment, and the data shows it. May babies had the lowest overall disease risk in the entire 1.7 million patient study. but it goes even deeper. Researchers at the University of Southampton found something remarkable. Your birth season actually leaves chemical marks on your DNA, not damage. Think of them as tiny switches sitting on top of your genes, controlling which ones are turned on and which are turned off. They tested people decades after birth and found that these seasonal switches were still active in adulthood. The season you were born in literally changed how your genes behave, and those changes were still running 30, 40, 50 years later. Your immune system didn't just learn from the season, it was stamped by it. Now you'd think that's enough. Your brain and your immune system, both shaped by the calendar. But there's a third effect that might be the strangest of all. If you look at the rosters of professional sports teams across Europe, hockey teams in Canada, baseball teams in the US, you'll notice something bizarre, something almost absurd. Players born in January, February, and March are massively overrepresented, and players born in October, November, December, almost invisible. This is called the relative age effect, and it's one of the most well-documented patterns in sports. Here's how it works. In most countries, youth sports have a January 1st cutoff, so a kid born in January is competing against kids born in the same year. But a kid born in December of that same year is nearly 12 months younger. At age 6 or 7, 12 months is enormous. The January kid is bigger, faster, more coordinated, not more talented, just older. But coaches don't think, well, that kid is older. They think that kid is better. So the January kid gets picked for the advanced team, gets better coaching, more game time, more confidence. And that early advantage snowballs year after year after year. By the time they're 16, the gap looks like pure talent. But it started as a calendar accident. And here's the flip side that nobody talks about. If you were born late in the year and you still made it through, if you survived being the smallest, youngest kid on every team, research shows you actually built something the early-born kids didn't. You became more resilient, more adaptive, more creative in how you play, because you had to be. You didn't get the advantage, so you built something harder to measure but arguably more valuable. Grit, the ability to compete when the system wasn't designed for you. The same pattern shows up in school. In countries where enrollment starts in September, August, and September, babies consistently outperform younger classmates in early grades, and that confidence gap echoes into career earnings decades later. Your birth month didn't decide your talent, but it decided the difficulty setting you started on. There's one more question that researchers have been obsessed with for years, and it might be the most important one. Does your birth month affect how long you live? In the early 2000s, researchers at the University of Chicago studied over 1,500 people who had lived past the age of 100. They wanted to know, was there anything these people had in common beyond genetics, diet, or lifestyle? There was, and it was on their birth certificates. People born in September, October, and November were significantly overrepresented among those who lived past 100, far more than random chance would predict. The researchers believe the explanation is layered. These fall babies were carried through summer, meaning their mothers had peak access to sunlight, fresh food, and vitamin D during the most critical phase of development. The babies got the best possible biological start. Then they were born just before winter, so their brand new immune systems had a few weeks to get going before the harsh virus season kicked in, not thrown into battle immediately, given a head start. A separate study from the Max Planck Institute in Germany confirmed the same pattern across multiple countries and decades. Autumn babies consistently outlived spring and summer babies by a small but real margin. Does this mean being born in March shortens your life? No, absolutely not. We're talking about averages across now millions of people. Your choices, how you eat, how you move, how you manage stress, have far more power over how long you live than your birth month. But the fact that the pattern exists at all tells us something powerful. The conditions of your first chapter leave a trace that lasts your entire story. But there's one more piece of this puzzle, and it might be the one that actually changes how you live your life starting today. Your birth season didn't just affect your mood and your immune system, it also helped set your internal body clock, whether you're naturally a morning person or a night owl. A major European study found that people born in summer months were naturally more energetic, more upbeat, and more likely to wake up early feeling ready to go. People born in winter, more likely to be night owls, not by choice, by biology. Their internal clock was set by the short, dark days of their first weeks alive, and this matters more than you think. Deep inside your brain, there's a tiny cluster of cells that works like a master clock. It tells your body when to wake up, when to feel sleepy, when to release energy, and when to start shutting down for the night. The light you got in your first days of life helped set that clock, and once it's set, it's hard to change. Studies tracking millions of people show that your sleep rhythm does shift as you age. Teenagers drift later, people in their 40s often drift earlier, but the baseline set by your birth season tends to stick throughout life. So if you've always wondered why you can't function before 10 a.m. no matter how hard you try, it might not be laziness, it might not be discipline, it might be December. Our birth month didn't just shape your brain, it set the clock it runs on. So here's where all of this lands. Your birth month is not a destiny, it's a starting condition, a set of biological nudges that tilted the odds in certain directions before you could even open your eyes. It shaped your mood, your immune system, your body clock, maybe even how long you'll live. But every single one of these things is something you can work with once you know about it. If you were born in winter and your mood baseline runs lower, you can prioritize sunlight, movement, and sleep in ways that directly compensate. If your immune system got a rougher start, you can be more intentional about how you take care of yourself. If your clock runs late, you can design your life around it instead of fighting it every morning. Your birth month gave you a starting line. It didn't draw the finish line. That part doesn't belong to a calendar. It belongs to you. Drop your birth month in the comments. I want to see if the patterns match. And if this video made you look at your own biology differently, subscribe, because this is just the beginning of what your body has been hiding from you.